kick off. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and welcome to Super Rugby Round 18 predictions. Yes, we've just got 2 rounds of the season left to go before we hit the finals, and there are still some questions to be answered. There are 9 teams still really in the running for those 8 playoff positions. So anyway, we'll talk about that as we go through and talk about the actual games. Now, so first up, we have the Crusaders versus the Highlanders. The Crusaders had a bye week last week after the June international window, which has given them all a chance to get back together and get all their systems back together after being away with the different different international teams. Hi Joshua, thanks for joining me. Just running through the predictions. The Highlanders obviously went away to Fiji to host, had a home game in Fiji, against the Chiefs. Got absolutely blitzed in the first half and tried to come back in the second, but obviously failed. This is going to be a big game for them. They're going to end up in the finals. The only question is what order will the Hurricanes, Highlanders and Chiefs finish in. Unfortunately for the Highlanders, I can't see them winning this. The Crusaders are on an absolute roll, and I'm backing the Crusaders to win this one by 7. It's one of the easier ones. I think there's a lot of games here that could go either way this weekend, but that one I think is pretty clear cut. Next up, we have the Reds versus the Rebels. Both these sides coming off losses. The Reds obviously losing in Auckland to the Blues, and the Blues' first home win of the season last weekend. Whereas the Rebels lost at home to the Waratahs, basically giving up the top of the conference, the Australia Conference. The Reds will be at home, obviously. The Rebels are the better side, though, and I've got to back the Rebels to win this one by 5. The Reds gave up 2 yellow cards and basically and lost the game during that period. They have given up a lot of cards this season. If they all stay on the pitch, they're in with a shout. But you can't see that happening in this current day and age. So I say I'm backing the Rebels by 5 there, and for the Rebels to probably cement their playoff spot at that point. The Sharks are still chasing them, but I think that's this weekend could decide that. Then on Saturday we have the Chiefs versus the Brumbies. The Chiefs coming off that very good win over the Highlanders out in Fiji, whereas Brumbies coming away with a shock win over the Hurricanes, obviously at home. On the road, the Chiefs are going to be a different prospect, I think. So the Chiefs showed us how damaging they can be in that first half against the Highlanders, and then playing into the wind, had enough game management to win the game. I think the Chiefs should win this one by 5. The Hurricanes have been out of sorts, as Herman told us during on Monday night. So you got to say that actually the Hurricane. It's good to see an Australian side beating a New Zealand one, but you got to give kudos to the Brumbies for getting over the line. But this Hurricane side isn't at their best. They were missing key players as well. Following up that game, we have the Hurricanes hosting the Blues. The Blues coming off that win over the Reds, obviously, and the Hurricanes losing to the Brumbies, as we mentioned already. The Hurricanes really are looking out of sorts. It's going to depend on, are they going to have Ardy Surveyor, Brad Shields, Fafita, Bowden Barrett back in the side, or are they going to be still missing those 4 players? They are very key to them. However, the Blues haven't beaten a New Zealand side in, this seems like decades. Obviously it hasn't been that long, but it has been a long time since the Blues have beaten a New Zealand side. So I can't see that that's going to be playing on their minds. So I'm going to back the Hurricanes by 3. But the Hurricanes have not been convincing. So this probably is one of the best chances the Blues have had of breaking that streak. Next up, the Waratahs host the Sunwolves. As I say, the Waratahs have as good as got their won the Australia conference now. The Sunwolves coming off the back of another good win, beating the Bulls down in Singapore. So that's 3 wins on the trot if you consider when they've had their full strength side. Obviously, the last couple of games when they toured Australia just before the international window, that all their Japanese internationals were away on international camps. So you can't really count, or you can, but obviously you have to count those. But when they've had their full team together, they're now on a streak of beating the Reds at home, beating the Stormers in Hong Kong, and then beating the Bulls in Singapore. Now, travelling down to Sydney is going to be a different prospect. It's going to be colder, obviously, than those other places at this time of year. And also the Waratahs are going to be different prospects to the Reds, Bulls and Stormers. We're talking about 4th in Australia Conference, 4th and 5th in the Africa Conference. So I've got to say the Waratahs are favourites in this one. I'm going to back the Waratahs by 3. Because you've got to say, now the Waratahs got it wrapped up, are they going to rest a couple of players ready for the finals? We'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we have the Bulls then host the Jaguares. The Bulls coming off, again, that loss to the Sunwolves, whereas Jaguares coming off a win last weekend against, I've just gone blank as to who they beat last weekend, the Stormers last weekend. So you've got to say that the Jaguares are on a fantastic run now. That's 7 wins on the trot either side of the June international window. They've shown that they going away and losing with the international team for 3 games, 2 against Wales, 1 against Scotland, hasn't dented the Jaguares' belief, and that once they're back in their club camp, they all seem to be doing very well. So after you've got to say that Jaguares won 2 games in Australia and 2 games in New Zealand, there's nothing stopping them from going and winning in South Africa. And that's what started off that this 7-game winning streak. Sure, the last 3 games have been at home, but I got to back the Jaguares to beat the Bulls by 5. Sure, the Bulls have been better at home than away, but I think the Jaguares are pushing for that to win that Africa Conference. If they win this weekend, they'll overtake the Lions to go top. Final game of the round is the Stormers versus the Sharks. Now, the Stormers obviously lost away last weekend, but they've lost all of their away games. I think it is now. Maybe they've won 1 at home, but they've been awful away from home. At home has been a different ball game. They've only lost twice at home and they won all their other games. The Sharks, again, another side that have had a abysmal away record as well. So the Sharks have only won once away, and that was to the Blues. They've then had 5 of their 6 wins have come at home. Similarly, for the Stormers, they've won 5 games, but they've been all their home games. So they won 5 out of 7 at home. So with that record, I'm going to back the Stormers by 3. Sure, they've had to travel back from Argentina, whereas the Sharks were at home last weekend, so they had a much shorter trip. But even so, looking at those records, you've got to back the Stormers to win that one. So thank you very much for joining me. Hit the old like button if you're watching this on YouTube, and also don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching on Periscope, then again, follow please, and retweet and share it with all your friends and all of that kind of lovely stuff. Always have got a rugby chat. So let me know down below your thoughts. Have I got it wrong? You think another side's going to win? I've gone for quite a few narrow margins, which shows you that I'm not convinced with a lot of these games. I think there's going to be quite a few that could go either way. Sorry, let me know your thoughts and enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend.